Hey, what's going on, everyone? Justin here, and in this video I just want to share my pile of possibilities for a reading event coming up, which is known as peopleapril. Now, this is, I think, the third year of this reading event, and it is hosted this year by Ross over at Scallydandling About the Books, Elizabeth at Bookins of Books, and Brian at Bookish. Now, I'll leave links to all their announcement videos down below, so you can definitely check it out for yourself. They have a Discord, a group read, and a couple of quote prompts and things like that. But as you could probably guess from the title of peopleapril, it lasts throughout the entire month of April, and it's all about people, whether that's biographies, memoirs, autobiographies, things like that. So anyways, I got plenty of that kind of stuff going on, so let's just go ahead and get started on a few that I'm thinking about trying. So we're gonna have to whittle it down though, for sure. First up is this one, a story of survival, myth making, and melting ice after the North Pole. Don't ask me why I just read the subtitle as the title, but this is by Erling Kagge, who he and his friend in the early 1990s were the first people to reach the North Pole using just their own manpower, no having supply depots dropped in front of them and stuff like that. So that's pretty crazy. That's just like a weird, insane achievement. Like, I have a soft spot for anyone who does anything in the ice and the cold and stuff. Being from the north myself, just sounds like a really cool adventure story, and I'd like to learn more about first why they wanted to do that and bother to do that kind of thing. What was kind of like the purpose? I'm sure there's probably some kind of scientific or something kind of thing going on there, and how they actually went about doing it. So next up, we have a couple of biographies here. This one is Jane Goodall's Through a Window, My 30 Years with the Chimpanzees of Gombe. And sadly, I've just never read anything by Jane Goodall. I have like 4 of her books, and she's just like one of these authors that just keeps I keep talking about and then I never end up getting to. So I really need to just address that. So this is obviously a biography kind of dealing with all her kind of research and time observing and learning about and writing about, the chimpanzees in Gombe and everything like that. So super seminal in anthropology, biology, and all that kind of stuff. So I just need to fix that kind of gap in my reading for sure. So now let's go on a couple of ancient histories. So the Punic Wars are just my thing. I have a Punic War shelf, and I have one biography of Hannibal right now that I have not read out of the 5 or 6 books that have Hannibal in the title. And this one is Hannibal's Oath, The Life and Wars of Rome's Greatest Enemy by John Previs. And that's pretty much all I gotta say. It's a biography of Hannibal that I haven't read, so what better chance do I need for that? Like I said, I kind of collect and read books on the Punic Wars, and for those who don't know, it was a major a series of 3 wars between Rome and Carthage during the kind of heyday of the Roman Republic. So and Hannibal is kind of the famous guy that crossed the Alps with elephants and everything like that, for those who don't know. But yeah, just haven't read it, so it goes on the pile there. So another reading event that I'm kind of participating in is Robert G's Roman Emperor Reading Challenge, and this is one that I want to get to, and it's Nero, Matricide, Music, and Murder in Imperial Rome by Anthony Everett and Roddy Ashworth. So I've read, I think, only one other book kind of dedicated more or less to Nero, but that was kind of more on the fire of Rome during Nero's reign, not so much on Nero himself per se. So Nero is kind of one of those figures that I think is people are trying to kind of swing the pendulum back towards. He wasn't as crazy and insane as we kind of make him out to be, though. I think there's going to have to be a lot of damage control, but I have seen some journal articles and magazine articles and things like that where they were people have been trying to kind of lessen how awful he was. Though I will say, he actually reigned for quite a substantial period of time. And for the first, I think 7, 8, 9 years of his reign, most everyone pretty liked him fairly well. It was just towards the end of his reign, the last few years, that he kind of started going off the deep end, and the fire of Rome probably didn't help a lot of things and stuff like that. So like I said, it'd be kind of nice to read just a full-on biography of Nero. All right, so I have a couple of philosophy-ish books. This is like a group biography. This is pretty famous. I'm just like now getting around to it. If you enjoy philosophy, I do have a philosophy Discord. This is probably one I will kind of throw up on there as like a group read too, because there has been some interest in Sarah Bakewell's At the Existentialist Cafe, Freedom Being an Apricot apricot cocktails, with Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, Albert Camus, Martin Heidegger, Edmund Husserl, Carl Jaspers, and Maurice Merleau-Ponty. So this is all about kind of that big circle of existentialist thinkers kind of going on in Europe in the first half of the 1900s. Like I said, this was a pretty famous work. There's a few of these, like Albert Camus was another book coming right up here that I want to read a lot more about. The only one that I'm even like kind of vaguely familiar in any detail is Sartre and Beauvoir, just because they're kind of like I guess the biggest names like on there as far as like, learning college and stuff. I guess Heidegger's like up there too, but yeah, I don't understand anything I read from what I remember. Though I do have Being in Time, and I kind of told myself I should read that sometime, but we will see. But anyways, so this is kind of like a really cool group biography kind of thing, I think. So that's why I wanted to include that one, include some philosophy stuff. And I might as well talk about the Albert Camus one. So I try to read a very short introduction every month, and I recently acquired this one from a gift, a set of 5, and this is the philosophy one in that set. This was by Oliver Glow, so Albert Camus, very short introduction. So I flipped through it real fast, and it looks like the first half is fairly biographical and kind of historical stuff, and then obviously like some of his thinking and writings and stuff like that will be included throughout the book too, but it wasn't just purely on his thought per se. I do have, I think I have a couple more. I do have one more biography here. Becoming Teddy Roosevelt, How a Maine Guide Inspired America's 26th President, by Andrew Vitzi, I think it is. Yeah, Vitzi. And I used to read quite a bit on Theodore Roosevelt. He'd be rolling his grave right now with what's happening to the parks and stuff. But anyways, this is all about his encounter with William Sewall, who was a pretty prominent Maine guide in the far north. And Roosevelt, when he was, I want to say 19 or 20, went kind of adventuring and stuff in the North Maine woods, which is where I live, in the middle of the rural North Maine woods and stuff. So I just want to like read more about it and everything like that. And you can get a picture there of Sewall there. So just thought it'd be a kind of a cool like kind of shaping. It is like a shaping moment for Theodore Roosevelt. So I kind of wanted to include it there. So next up, I have 2 rereads, which is actually kind of different for me, but I do want to get to them at some point, so I figure why not now? So we got The Arbonaut, A Life Discovering the 8th Continent and the Trees Above Us by Meg Lowman. And this was fantastic. This is all about a scientist, Meg, who pioneered the study of rainforest tree canopies. Learn about like the plants and the insects and other animals that live up there, the kind of different ecosystem and kind of just what's going on that's kind of different up there than it is down at the forest surface below. And it's kind of her trials of, kind of growing up a little bit, then moving to Australia for college and everything, and then kind of living on her own and family issues and stuff like that. But then also, while doing all this kind of stuff, doing all this research, and then the last third or so of the book is discussing all the different like kind of research projects she's kind of spearheaded, and a lot of them are so cool, like just making the rainforest canopy accessible for kids, making it accessible for people with disabilities and stuff. It's super awesome. Need to like reread it again. And then another one is A Life on Our Planet, My Witness Statement and a Vision for the Future by David Attenborough. And I just kind of want to like read it in his voice. I think he has the audiobook. I can't remember if this has an audiobook with him narrating. He did narrate like Life on Earth and Living Planet and stuff. So I'll have to kind of check, and I might like splurge a little bit and like listen to it as I read if it's in his voice. But this is kind of a loose biography memoir kind of thing, where he's kind of going and talking about some of the kind of some vignettes from his life that really had a big impact on him, and you get different stats there as time, like how much more, more land usage and the population, everything is kind of going up over time and things like that. So it is a quick read, but I don't know, I just feel like I need to like read something like this again. And then a couple of memoirs here. We have Shark Drunk, The Art of Catching a Large Shark from a Tiny Rubber Dinghy in a Big Ocean by Morton Stroxness. And this is ostensibly about fishing for a Greenland shark, you know, in the North Sea or something like that. But I don't think it really is. Let me just read you like a blurb. This is the blurb that like made me like pick it up in the first place. And this is another one of those books like Jane Goodall's that I probably put in about 5 or 6 TBRs at this point, just haven't read. Shark Drunk is the true story of two friends, the author and the eccentric artist Hugo Azjord, as they embark on a wild pursuit of the famed creature, all from a tiny rubber boat. Together they tackle existential questions and confront the possibility of the world's most powerful maelstrom as they attempt to understand the ocean from every possible angle, drawing on poetry, science, history, ecology, mythology, and their own sometimes intoxicated observations, meanwhile pursuing the elusive Greenland shark. So I think it's more about like kind of their existential philosophical musings as they're kind of, you know, like out there on the sea and everything, more so than the actual fishing for a shark, I think, anyway. So that was, like I said, that was a blurb that made me want to pick it up. And then one of the New York Review books that I want to get is actually kind of like a memoir, and it's Memories from Moscow to the Black Sea by Teffy. And this is all about when the Russian Civil War started, right after World War I. Teffy was, I think, a journalist, and she essentially fled from Russia, becoming like the Soviets, and the Bolshevik Revolution and everything, fleeing through Russia and Ukraine, down through the Black Sea, and kind of like all over Europe, and that sort of thing. So I thought it was pretty pertinent to the times, what's kind of going on right now. As well, just sounding like a really interesting memoir, which is why I picked it up. So what better time than now? And then I got 2 more books that were sent to me by Crown recently this month, and they fit in sort of, I'd say they're like tangential. So like they're definitely people April per se, but I guess I'll just explain. They're not biographies in that sense, but we got Let Only Red Flowers Bloom, Identity and Belonging in Xi Jinping's China by Emily Feng. And this is a journalist who was going over throughout China, interviewing and like, you know, just studying and observing different facets of the population that are kind of struggling in China right now, and kind of just profiling like kind of what's going on, what matters most to them, what's like being difficult, what are the challenges as they're trying to like kind of assimilate and things like that. Just because there is, you know, there's what 1.5 billion people in China and stuff, so a lot of groups, a lot of stuff, I guess dispersed, if that makes any sense. It's not like one monolithic culture, but some of them are feeling sort of left behind, you know, with like the movements forward and all that kind of thing. So I did think I think this one would be a good one for People April. I think there's about, if I remember, a dozen or so profiles like throughout the book. So not biographies or memoirs per se, but I think kind of like in the same vein. I guess I would say it counts for People April. And then lastly, there is No Place for Us, Working and Homeless in America by Brian Goldstone. So I've been reading a lot of like social issues fairly recently, and as a social worker and everything, I've worked with homeless and working people myself. So I figured, you know, this, like, I feel like I'll have like a good kind of like look at some of this kind of stuff, but you know, it's just certain populations, like I said, kind of getting like left behind. To me, there's no reason you should be, like, if you live in the United States, it's just crazy that we have a country where even if you're working full time, you can still end up homeless and stuff, and like all the stuff we got to address to like fix that, get some problems resolved and everything like that. So yeah, before I kind of like ramble on and start like kind of just getting mad and everything, I feel like I'm gonna like learn a lot from this and hopefully maybe apply it and that kind of thing, and stuff like that. So like I said, just something I'm interested in, and definitely an underserved population there. So there you have it, a bunch of biographies and memoirs and kind of tangential, I guess, books dealing with people. So let me know which ones you would be most interested in and which ones I should read. There's a few, for example, like that first one on the explorers to the North Pole and stuff, that I'm definitely going to read, but I still haven't decided. There's no way I'm going to get to all of them. So let me get some help down below on which ones I should focus on. And like I said, they have a Discord and everything like that. Definitely check out their videos and everything like that. And always remember, whether you're reading about people or not, read victoriously.